I wanted to make sure that we had a lot of people here because you guys have no idea what you're in for. This is an amazing presentation. And without further ado, Mr. Neal, again, on behalf of everyone at London Foster that is here and everyone who is not here, because this presentation will go on forever and ever and ever, myself, Daniel, our support staff, Dina, Sandra, and of course, Bobby, we thank you for this opportunity. We are always happy to see you. You've been
Thank you so much. And good morning to everyone. I know I probably came in hot, right? So you all just bear with me. But thanks to Bobby, Memo, to the entire team. And I just want to give a special shout out to my man, Daniel. He's always, I don't know if you all know this, but he has superpowers, right? Because the moment I'm thinking something and I send it over, it is up and available to you all. So we're going to have as much fun as legally possible sitting in front of your camera for the, now I did say legally possible. It's not going to be as much fun as some of you guys have in front of your cameras or computers at other times, but that's none of my business. So I just really want to start by saying we have an opportunity today to do something amazing because of some amazing people. And I always have. So if you have ever been with me in any of my presentations, any of my classes, you have seen me say the same thing over and over, and it is not by accident, but it is because of a few people. Everywhere I go, I take my Navy service tumbler with me. And it's because my dad was a Navy man. He was a blue jacket. So I want to take a moment and say to all of the veterans, the active service personnel, to the reservists, and even to our first responders, thank you for your bravery. Thank you for your sacrifice. It's because of you that we get to be here on a day like today, right? It's because of what you've done and your belief and your sacrifice for this country that we get to be here. And then for the family members of the veterans, of the military individuals, the reservists, the active service personnel, and the first responders, to those family members, we thank you for your sacrifice. As the family of a Navy man, I do know that when your one family member serves, the entire family serves, and we don't take that for granted. We might not always act like we appreciate you, but we really do. So hats off to you. Now, here's where I have to let, I know we have a mix of people in here, and that might be from different countries, might have different cultures. I'm from a small country that you may have heard of. It's called Alabama. I don't know if you all have ever heard of that country. And in Alabama, we speak a little bit different than you all do here in South Florida or wherever you're joining us from. So I'm going to say some things that you might not understand. So if you all don't understand, just tell me to slow down in the chat. I want to say to James, don't worry, there will be no take notes today. So James and I have sat together in way too many classes. He's been a student of mine in a lot of classes, and his ears ring whenever we say take notes. James did ask about the presentation and where to print out. You all don't need it right now. You will need it later as a reminder. But right now, the most important thing you can do is be present with me here. And here's why. Because everything, the world is vying for your attention right now. We saw Memo's phone, right? We saw the messages coming in. Like, is that life for us, right? That's our everyday life. But what ends up happening? What ends up happening is we're running around putting out fires. We're running around doing for everyone else. And then we get to the end of the day. And did we get what we needed done? No, we did not. So I am going to share a couple of tips. I'm even going to show you all what my calendar looks like. And the reason why I'm going to get to a point and show you what my calendar looks like is because I want you to know that everything that I'm telling you, I exercise and I utilize myself. I'm not that smart, okay? I want to be clear. Now, I'm handsome, but I'm not that smart. And the reason I say that I'm not that smart is because none of this is my own creation. It's just that I'm smart enough to listen to people who have done it better than me and people who have done it before me. And so that's what we're going to have today. So today we're going to get a little bit of motivation, a little bit of inspiration, maybe some perspiration, but more importantly, we're going to have some action steps when we walk away, because I don't know if you all know this, but the way that London Foster is growing. Now, we just heard Bobby and Memo talk about it. The way that they're training you guys and then what they have available for all of you, you all are going to be in a new position. You all are going to have more opportunity to do more business. But if you're stuck doing unnecessary stuff, guess what? It's not going to win. It's not going to help you win. It's not going to be a benefit. So we really want to make sure that we're doing less and making more. And you're going to say, Neal, is that a promise that you can keep? Yes, it is. And we're going to show you all how here in one moment. Now, Memo mentioned the chat. We do not have a formal Q&A session or section during this presentation. So what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to be talking. I'm going to give you guys some ideas. So if you have a question or a point, or maybe you just want to scream hallelujah, I did mention that I'm from Alabama, right? You all can do that in the chat. Oh, see, look, Miss Cruz Cordova, she's with me right there. So if you want to put anything in the chat, feel free to do it. If it starts rolling too fast, I will slow down, look at the chat, and then I will repeat the question for those who might not be able to see the chat on the replay, right? Because we're always thinking about those who aren't with us. London Foster Agents, that's what I want you all doing, right? Even when you're here right now. I have one question before I continue. Why are you here? And it's not because you have nothing else to do today. Like, why are you here? You don't even have to answer the question aloud, but I want you to answer that question, and I want you to ask that question and answer it over and over and over in our time together. Why am I here? Like, am I here because I have nothing to do, or am I here because I'm at my wit's end? Am I here because I've tried everything else and I just can't get anything else done? I'm here because it's my last resort, right? I don't know what else to do. I got the email from London Foster, and they said I could do less and make more. And I say, what the hey? Well, I want you to ask that question, why are you here? And then answer it as we go along. So I'm going to be sharing a PowerPoint presentation. Now, don't worry, it's not going to be death by PowerPoint today. I'm going to jump back and forth from PowerPoint to this view here. Maybe you're in grid view. Hopefully you're not crazy enough just to have my photo or my video pinned to your screen, because that could be a little scary. But what we're going to do, I'm going to share my PowerPoint with you all, and then I'm going to go through. We're going to have some fun here in a moment, and we're going to see why we're here. As I mentioned, we want to give respect and honor where respect and honor are due. That's what we have right there with the screen. We're in the right place. Now, typically, James knows this. I would tell you, if we were in person, you know, Memo or Bobby would have said, hey, here's where the emergency exits are. Here's where the bathrooms are. Newsflash, if you don't know where the emergency exits are and the bathrooms are, we're in trouble. All right. I know we've never been accused of being the brightest, but hopefully you know where the bathrooms are. Really quickly, one more note that I want to remind you all of. If you have your camera on, and if you live with another breathing human being that might walk around, please let them know that your camera is on. I teach a lot of classes. I see a lot of things. So, you know, that third shift worker that might just be waking up right now at 10:32, they love you. They want to come in and say good morning, but they forgot to get dressed. Now, I don't mind, but I'm sure that you don't want us to see what you get to see in your private life. So just make sure they are aware of the camera being on. Now, this photo right here represents all of us here. This photo is indicative of you and I. And here's why. This is going to be an interactive session. So while I ask you questions, we're going to move at a rapid pace. I'm going to ask you questions. Some of you are going to be excited, right? Some of you are going to raise your hand responsibly, and you're going to be like, yes, I know the answer, or you're going to type in the chat, right? Some of you have no idea where you are right now. Some of us are still asleep or hungover, whatever it is, and you're going to just raise your hand like my man here, just because others have put comments in the chat. They might just put a number in the chat, and you're just like 3. I have no idea. what's going on. Now, some of you might be like our guy right here and are so excited. You're like, ooh, 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 I know this. But then, yet and still, there's always one person that's like our man right here. You all see him, right? That's the one that has perfected the skill of sleeping in an upright position. Now, I hope that's not you. Now, I don't mind that first group of kids, but these kids right here are something else. Now, as I mentioned, this is interactive. Some of you got so excited that maybe, like our friend here, you dislocated your shoulder, maybe your thumb got out of place because you were so excited to type and you started doing a little wiggle. But this girl, I know some of you are like our friend right here, and we know what she is. We know who you are. You're that person that says, you know, Memo, Bobby, you all are saying this Neal guy is pretty good. What could he possibly know? I wish he would just hurry up and finish so I can go and get another cafecito, right? I know exactly what you're thinking, but that's okay because the proof is in the pudding. I must warn you, I told you that I am the son of a Navy man. That means there's going to be some 4-letter words that you might not like. I'm just going to apologize, Bobby. I'm sorry, Memo. I'm sorry. But I'm just going to tell you the 4-letter words, the nasty words I'm going to say right now. That way, when I hit you with them, the shock and awe factor will already be gone. So as realtors, as London Foster realtors, I'm going to talk to you in a way that you've never been talked to before. I'm going to say words such as no. Yes, we don't like the word no. I'm going to use the ugliest of ugly words, discipline. Ooh, that one hurt, right? Some of you just got stuck with that word discipline. How about priorities and responsibility? Now, I know that's probably not what you were thinking I was going to say. Some of you are disappointed right now. Shame on you. But what I want you to understand that for us to do less and make more, we must embrace the suck, as the Marines say, right? We must embrace the no, the discipline, the responsibility, and priorities. This right here is a quote from Jim Rohn. If you all don't know who Jim Rohn is, I'm going to encourage you all just to look up Jim Rohn. I'm going to also give you all some names, some resources that you might be able to use outside of here, because in our short time together, we're not here to cure all of your woes. That would take a couple of lifetimes. But what we do want to do is introduce some things, to give you some techniques, some tips where you can say, I can't do everything, but I can do one thing. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. How many of us have goals, right? How many of us are already working on our goals for 2022? How many of us are working on the goals from 2020 that we haven't accomplished yet? Well, what's the difference between a goal and accomplishment? It's this 4-letter word that I just mentioned, and that is discipline. You're going to say, Neal, I did not come here to be told what I should do, but that's okay. Just hang with me just a little bit. We're going to get to some action items for you as realtors, because London Foster has already done an amazing job giving you all the tools, giving you all the systems and the processes. We just need to implement and exercise what it is we know to do. So I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. Time management is a myth. We cannot manage time, right? There's no such thing. How many of you can identify with this gentleman right here, where no matter how fast you run on this treadmill of life as a realtor, you just can't get everything done? I know that I'm guilty of it. So if we can't manage time, why are we here? We hear this thing about time management. What if the truth is, since we can't manage time, we can only manage our emotion? Now, that's where the first thing I want us to start understanding. So Neal, why didn't you call this class time management? You'll see that in everywhere I've promoted this and where London Foster have promoted this, that's in productivity mastery. We're not talking about time management. We want you to become a master of productivity. And how do you do that? It's first by us understanding that we can't manage time. Because if you, after this session today, still try to manage time, you're going to find yourself beating your head against the wall. And then you're going to realize, well, it's pointless. Have you all ever tried to work with a client that just sucked all of the life out of you? And as you did, you got more and more dejected. Maybe for my parents here, you've tried to work with that child. You know which child, not your favorite child, the other one, right? The one that you're like, man, we should have stopped one earlier. I'm kidding, maybe, but you know whether I'm kidding or not, right? So maybe you're working with that child and you just seem to get frustrated because they won't do what you want them to do. Well, that's sort of like time. That's who time is to us and for us. So time is that child. Time is that client. And what switch do we have to turn? We have to say, well, if I can't manage them, if I can't control time, if time is going to continue to tick regardless of what I do or not, then maybe I can manage my emotion. Now, here's the really cruddy news. Emotionally, we're all immature. Now, this is some of you right now. Some of you are hitting me with the na boo boo. Once again, that is a technical term in Alabama. So if we don't need to manage, if we can't manage time, and if we need to manage our emotion, but we are emotionally immature, what do we do? How do we go about doing less and getting more? Well, the one thing that you all have heard already this morning, especially from Memo, is systems. What systems do you have? Do you have systems in place to protect you from you? Now, if we're being honest, this is the idea, right? And I'm going to use something that maybe I shouldn't use, but I know this is a safe space. So in different mental institutions, why do they put people in straitjackets? It's so they can protect themselves from themselves. And so that's what our systems are. Now, I don't want you all to think of London Foster and the back office as a straitjacket, but they have systems in place. They've made it easy for you to do what you need to do and protect you from yourself. So this right here, how many of you feel like this is your life? I feel like this is the perfect look, a reminder of what Memo's phone is, right? So whether he is talking on his phone, responding to text messages, casting, sharing his screen, we are so interconnected right now that how many of you go on and you sit down at your computer and what's the plan for the day? The plan is I'm going to prospect. And guess what? The phone rings, the email comes in. Now that we're working from home or remotely more so than usual, now that some of our kids might be doing online school permanently and they're just on the other side of the camera, then the distraction comes in. Then we have the music playing and then you all see what can happen. So here's what I want us to start to understand. Once we are distracted, once you as a realtor, as a London Foster agent is distracted, it takes about 23 minutes for you to regain focus. Have any of you ever been in the zone, right? Have any of you ever just felt it, right? And I know in the zone is a sports term, but where you couldn't do any wrong, where you're making your phone calls, where you're prospecting, where contracts are coming in, where you can't do any wrong and you feel like, yes, I'm gonna ride the lightning, right? As they say in The Hangover, right? But then what happens? That one thing throws us off. And then we try to find ourselves and get back, but it just doesn't work. That's what all of this is. So if it takes 23 minutes to regain our focus after we are distracted, you're saying, Neal, I just need to make sure that I'm not distracted. What's the problem? What's the challenge? The challenge is that as a realtor, as an agent, you're distracted every 3 minutes. Say, what? Neal, are you telling me that every 3 minutes I have a distraction and it takes me 23 minutes to regain my focus and attention to get back in the zone? Yep. So what does that mean for you? That means that many of us, Neal included, if I'm not intentional with systems, if I am not making sure that I know what I'm doing and why I'm here, every 3 minutes I'm distracted. It takes me 23 minutes to regain my focus. You will go through an entire day, never focused on the one thing that you're supposed to do. So here's an example. We started this session here at 10 a.m. in the morning. A question that I have for you, just in the chat, if you want to, in the chat, how many of you knew what your number one goal was today that you know you needed to do, right? Yes, no, because first we have to know what our highest priority is. Remember, that's that four-letter word, and we're going to get there in a moment. How many of us knew what our highest priority was for the day? And then my question would be, did your highest priority get done before 10 a.m., right? Did your number one get done? Because here's what's crazy. Now, it could be because the time didn't allow for it, meaning that it has to be done later. Like if it's going to be a buyer consultation or a marketing consultation, maybe it's going to be later. But what if your number one thing was really your number one thing? One of the resources I want you all to gain and to grasp is Brian Tracy, Brian Tracy, Tracy, Brian Tracy. We've all heard the term eat the frog. So he wrote the book, Eat That Frog, or Eat the Frog. And I believe it's a fantastic resource because it's an easy read, but it tells us, it outlines processes and systems. How do you do your most daunting task first thing? Because here's what I am willing to bet, and thank you all for my friends and family who in the chat did say that, yes, I had a goal. No, it hasn't gotten done yet, right? But here's a little bit of conviction. Wow, we might not have done what we know we're supposed to do this morning. How many of us did something that we wanted to do instead? How many of us checked social? How many of us responded to emails? How many of us ate a bigger breakfast or took more time than we were supposed to? How many of us woke up late and gave ourselves a break? Because here's what I do know. I do know that you, as a London Foster agent, you are a great salesperson. You know how I know? Because you sell yourself every morning, every evening, every night. You sell yourself on why you can do something later. You sell yourself on the idea that scanning Facebook or IG or TikTok and posting and responding, that's part of my marketing plan, right? I'm going to be honest with you all. What if we focused on those DPAs and IPAs? And when I say IPA, I'm not talking about craft beer, income producing activities, dollar producing activities. What if your one thing this morning really was your one thing? Now, you can tell me what's important, or you can show me. And when you show me what's important, that's what I am going to believe. So I just wanted to remind you all of that. This right here is a perfect example of our day, of our life. It tells you, warning, this sign is only a distraction. How many distractions have you had this morning that have interfered with what you know you needed to do? Now, I want to ask a very convicting question for each of you. This is a question that that Neal Oates, handsome Jr., asks every day throughout the day. Whose life would be better if you did what you know you were supposed to do? Whose life would be positively impacted if you did what you're supposed to do? And I'm not talking about Memo. I'm not talking about London Foster, Bobby. I'm talking about beyond that. If you made the calls you're supposed to make, if you wrote the note cards you're supposed to write, if you did the prospecting activities, whose life would be better? Because I started asking who or why are you here? That's what we started with. Why are you here today? If you're here because you want to learn how to respond to all the emails, that's the wrong reason. If you're here because you want to be who you're supposed to be so others can have and experience what they're supposed to have, now you're here for the right reason. But I have to give you all a secret. The world does not care, okay? This is Uncle Neal talking to you all in love. The world does not care that your kids need a brighter or better future. The world does not care that you need to get out of debt so you can travel or so that you can live a life that's stress-free or worry-free. That's the hard truth. So the world is going to give us these warning signs. And do you want me to tell you what the world looks like? The world looks like the person that you love, the person that you care about. Would you believe? Now, I know some of you are here for your kids, are here for your loved ones. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Do you know that sometimes they don't care that you're doing this for them? They don't care that mom, dad, they don't care that significant other, boyfriend or girlfriend need to get their prospecting calls done. They're going to come in and say, hey, honey, let me show you this post. Honey, can you go? And I think we should go pick up the laundry, or right? So that's where I want us to focus on. Don't focus on the signs and the distractions that are all around us. Now, do any of you know someone like this, where they go around all day and they're in this thing right here, this distraction box? We know that. Now, here's what I'm going to remind us of, is that your attention directs your life. If I want to know where your life is going as a person, as an individual, as an agent, I don't need to ask anything. I just need to see where your attention is. For instance, there's a saying that where the head goes, the body follows. In NASCAR, they say, well, I'm from Alabama, so I have to know about NASCAR, right? Don't judge me. So the saying is that what's the number one trick to not hitting the wall? You don't look at the wall, because where your energy goes, maybe we've heard, where your attention goes, your energy flows. All of that is correct. So I'm just going to ask you, where is your attention today? Has your attention been for the past 18 months? Has your attention been on this thing called the pandemic? Has Corona just derailed your life because that's where your attention has gone? Or have you said, you know where my attention is going to go? My attention is going to go to my past clients. My attention is going to go to my sphere of influence. Maybe right now, since we're opening an office in Lehigh Acres, maybe my attention could go to networking with agents in Lehigh Acres so I could get some referral business, because all of these are opportunities. Now, I don't know about you all, but let me tell you one way I do less and make more. About 67% of my business is done with people whose native language, native tongue is not English. I only speak pieces of English, right? So how do I do it? I've just realized that part of my doing less to make more is just networking with a lot of agents. So I network maybe all of the areas that you don't serve, where London Foster has offices. What if you network with agents in those areas? What if you got on and you hosted a Zoom in different locations? What if you actually drove to the Orlando area or to London Foster that's going to be opening in Lehigh Acres, right? What if you sat down and broke bread, went to the networking events in the 20 counties where you all have reach? What if then, when we know South Florida, we're always getting people coming in, right? What if you just hung out? Me, I am always in Naples. Now, I am in South Florida, but I'm always going over to Naples. Why? Because I know that I have more people coming from Naples over here. And so when they say, man, Neal, you came from Miami, you came from Fort Lauderdale to a business after hours? Yes, I did. Why? Because I know where my attention goes. That's where my life is going to be directed. I'm always in Central Florida. Why? I want to build relationships. And then I will make a trip for 3 hours, spend some time up there, hang out at a YPN event or a CRS event, CIPS networking event. I'll come back home. I'm writing note cards. If you all are not writing note cards, this is how we're going to do less and make more. We're just going to stack some things on top so that we can utilize or so that we can take advantage of the opportunities that we do have. Now, here's my uncle. I'm going to say my uncle because he's your uncle too, and we're all family here. Do we know this guy? Of course we know this guy. Are some of us this guy? The problem is not overabundance. The problem for us as realtors is not an overabundance of opportunities. It's not an overabundance of distractions. The issue is overconsumption. because we consume too much stuff. Now, it could be, health-wise and diet, or it could just be that we consume too many distractions. What if we utilize discipline in our lives and we said we were going to prospect? Now, when I say prospect, whatever your prospecting is, talk to your trainers, talk to Memo. They'll help you understand what prospecting is and something that works for you. So my big prospecting time is networking events and then going through my database, right? You all are highly relational agents. That's how, Bobby is going to reward you all for coming in. They want more people to come in that's referred to from you all. And so if you're highly relational, maybe that could be one of your prospecting activities. Instead of over-consuming distractions, instead of over-consuming social media or phone calls with our friends. Like me, my best friend lives in Birmingham, Alabama. He works for the county. So he drives around. The stereotype is true. He drives around and sleeps on the bridges all day, right? So he'll call me, and I've had to learn that I can't consume, that I must be disciplined and say no and keep my priorities in place because I have a responsibility. Do you all see that I just put all of my 4-letter words in that one statement? Now, here's what I'm going to challenge you all to do. The challenge is not to resist temptation. The challenge is not to resist the loved one or the phone call or the social media. The challenge is to avoid it. Can you avoid the temptation so you never have to resist? When we're supposed to be doing less and making more, our prospecting calls, our networking time, can you avoid the distraction by turning your phone on silent? Or better yet, I leave my phone somewhere where I am not, right? And this is the challenge. But Neal, what if there's an emergency? But Neal, what if? What if is the language of the poor? Because I know you're a great salesperson. You're always going to tell yourself, what if, what if, what if, and you will believe it. But how many times have your what if turned into or become reality? We have become handcuffed. We've become slaves to our technology. Now, I know that I need this to make a living and for my family to enjoy the lifestyle that we have. But are you controlling your technology, or is your technology controlling you? As I mentioned, we want to make sure that we avoid instead of resist. Now, what if you avoided social media by, and here's just a tip that I use. My coaches, my mentors have given me some action items. Now, of course, I have social media, all the apps on my phone, but they are about 3 folders deep. I don't have any social media on my home screen. I have to go into a folder that's in another folder in order for me to dive in and actually consume that social media. But Neal, I use social media for my marketing and my advertising. Okay, do you have a schedule? Do you have a process? Do you have a timeline for when you're going to do those activities? How many of you know this lady here? How many of you are this lady here? Where we're always trying to get everything done. Now, I love the photo, but this is a lie. Here's how I know this is a lie, because she's smiling. I don't care what's in the cup. And if she's smiling like that, I know it is not coffee. Would you all agree? I know that she is not smiling because trying to juggle everything, being an arachnophobe, is not the answer. Because here is the answer. The answer is we think that we've been taught to multitask. Now, I'm not a scientist. I just know what works. How many of you, this is you? Very seldom. This is us. So I just want you all to look into Brian Tracy, Eat the Frog, or Darren Hardy, DarrenHardy. Just look, just study what they have, right? I'm not saying become a disciple, just become a student. Start saying, okay, well, what if I focused 100% of all of my mind power, my brain power on one task for 30 minutes? could I get in the zone? Could I get more done rather than multitask two things for an hour or an hour and a half? And I'm willing to bet that the answer is yes. So here is our challenge as realtors, as a London Foster agent. Who is this? Can you all in the chat tell me who this woman or who this girl is? Does anyone here know who she is? Now, some of you have kids, some of you don't have kids. You watched the movie over and over. But since I'm not seeing the answer, there we go. Veronica, thank you so much. It is Elsa. And now here's a trick question, but we're all adults here, or we're at least adult-ish. What is Elsa famous for? What is Elsa's number one thing that Elsa is famous for that I'm going to encourage you all to do? Elsa is famous for letting it go. Now, when you hear let it go, you might have a different saying, you might have a different thought, but here is the idea. There you go, Donna, let it go. So my challenge and what I want you to see is there are some things in your daily life that you're just going to have to let go. Well, Neal, that's not what I've been taught. That's not what I've been told. What are you holding on to that no matter how much you do, even if you did it the best that you could, it would not move your bottom line? Are there things that you're doing right now that you did yesterday that you're maybe even doing as we're in this session right here? Are there things that you're doing right now that are not going to matter tomorrow? Are you doing things that aren't going to move the bottom line in the amount of production that you have or the amount of time off that you're going to have? If not, if you are doing those, then I encourage you to let it go. And how do we let it go? Here is the biggest four-letter word that I'm going to encourage you all to become students of, and this is no. Now, many of us never love to hear the word no, but is it safe to say that some of you have a challenge saying the word no? Now, I'm not saying no to the stuff that's just nonsense, but to the important stuff, to the things that you should be saying no to. How good are you at saying no? So here is an idea that I want to just throw in here for you all, is that as a realtor, we must fight this thing called active non-action, right? And so what I would like to do, I'm going to stop the share and I'm just going to give you all this view right here. There's a thing called active non-action that we must fight. And the idea is that movement is not progress. How many of you have ever gone through your day, busy? You got home and you look at your to-do list and there's more stuff at the end of the day than it was in the beginning, because movement is not, like Yvonne is like, dang man, he must be all in my planner. Absolutely, right? That's our typical day. That's our typical life. And so my question is, movement is not progress. Activity is not productivity. Just because we're doing something does not mean that we are being productive. And then here's one where all of you can say, ouch. Rushing is not results. Just because you're doing nothing faster doesn't mean that you're doing something, right? And so I want us to understand that rushing is not results. And here's the number one killer of our productivity, is that idea of multitasking. How many of us love the idea that we take pride in being a multitasker? Don't raise your hand because I want to give you all the answer. Because really what we find is that we're doing instead of doing one thing really good, we're doing multiple things really bad. As a realtor, do less, make more. Here's the number one thing I'm going to share with you to make more money. And it's going to be have fewer tabs open on your computer at the same time. Have fewer, now Neal, really, that's what I'm here for. Have fewer tabs open at the same time. Don't have 16 tabs open on the top because, hey, I'm a multitasker, I'm doing this. No, I'm just going to tell you, you just suck at everything that you're doing. I say that lovingly, okay? But focus. We tell our kids, what's the word that we tell our kids? We tell our loved ones, focus. focus, pay attention, right? If it's good for them, maybe, could it be that we need to focus ourselves? Now, none of this is stuff that you don't already know. It's just that we forget. There's a saying that says, oftentimes we need to be reminded more than we need to be instructed. And that's why I'm going to encourage you all after today, once Daniel and the team edit the video, I want you to make it at least maybe for the next week and a half. Just go into the back office and listen to this again. Why? Because you all need to be reminded, right? It's not that we need new information. We just need to do what we know to do. What would your life, what would your business be like? What would your bank account be like if you did what you already knew to do? I'm not saying do anything new. What if you made the phone calls you're supposed to make? What if you responded to the emails that you're supposed to? What if you followed up with that client that you said you were going to follow up with in the time that you did? What would your account look like? I know this is sensitive, right? I know, but that's why Memo brought me in, so you all can hate me when I'm gone and love him all the time, right? But what if we didn't learn anything new? What if we were just reminded of what to do and we did those few vital functions? And we're going to talk about that here in a moment. And then I just want to liberate you all and tell you that you can do anything you want as soon as you stop trying to do everything. You can do anything you want as soon as you stop trying to do everything. So what happens to us is we as realtors, as salespeople, we believe we can't do anything because we can't do everything. I'm going to ask you to shift your thought right now. Change the way you look at that word everything. Everything is a four-letter word. I don't need you to be everything to everyone. I need you to be one thing to your niche, to your demographic, to your sphere, to whoever your database is. Can you be the best and can you focus on them? There's that word, focus. So you can do anything you want as soon as you stop trying to do everything that you are trying to do. So here's a question. How many of you vet your calendar first? How many of you, before you say yes, you lead with no? Now, I know there's different opinions on this. One says lead with yes because you don't want to miss opportunities. Then another says lead with no because you don't want to get overwhelmed. Well, my mentor, Jim Rohn, says, don't let your mouth overload your back. Is anyone here anyone ever been guilty of committing to too many things and then having to back out? Maybe you have the problem or the fortune of saying yes to too many buyer consultations and then you have to reschedule. Well, that's going to be a withdrawal from the emotional account from the person that you had to cancel with. So my question or my challenge to you would be to vet your calendar first. And here's how we do this. We're going to have a no system in place. But when it talks about vetting your calendar, here's a shift in the idea of how we're going to do less and make more money. We've been told that we need to prioritize our schedules. Stop doing that. Why? Because typically when we prioritize our schedule, what moves up? The things that we enjoy doing, right? Hanging out, talking on the phone, those things. Instead of prioritizing our schedule, we're going to schedule our priorities. If it's important to you, it should have a time block today. The reason I know, I can tell you what's important to you by looking at two things. The first one is your bank account, right? If you show me your statements, where you spend your money, I'll know what's important to you. If you tell me that your business is important, but I don't see you pouring any resources to grow your business, I'll say, I don't believe it. The next thing is your time. If I look at your calendar, I'll tell you, or you're going to tell me, it's just going to be a reflection. If you say, my family is important, but I never see them on your calendar, I'll say, I hate to do this to you, but you're not being honest. So we want to schedule our priorities. And with that, what I want to show you all right now is I'm going to do something risky. I'm going to show you all what my priorities are. And I'm going to go back a couple of weeks. And so this is my actual Google Calendar. I don't care what calendar you use. It doesn't have to be fancy or whatever, but I want you to see what's important to me, because I could tell you or I could show you. So there are some teaching opportunities that are important to me. There are some networking events that are important to me. My win today, those are my prospecting times. My consultations that I have, they are important. But aside from business, there's something, if you look here on the 14th, and then if we look on the 7th, even if we go forward into the future, now we're going to time travel. Guess what? My wife knows that every Thursday night from now until we're having date night. That is important to me. So it is a priority. Win the day, my prospecting time is important to me. So I'm going to ask you, have you prioritized your schedule, or do you schedule your priorities? Have you gone through and said, this vacation time right here, it is important. My kids' game is important. Or do you say, well, I have these 10 things to do. Let me see which one I'm going to do first, second, third, and we never get to the one truly important thing. So here's what I know. I know I get a lot of grace as a realtor. We're going to need a lot of grace from our loved ones. We're going to need a lot of grace from our family and friends, even from our clients. And you know how we get that grace? Do you know why I get to work until 8, 9 o'clock almost every night? Is because of my Thursday night. I can put that time in with my wife. On Tuesday nights, we have game night, right? On Tuesday night, we're either gonna be playing Scrabble, we're gonna play Monopoly, and sad to say that I lose at Monopoly every day, or every time we play Tuesday, or we're gonna play Uno, something like that. Maybe we'll play a Jenga game. So that's happening on Tuesdays. The date night is going to be happening on Thursdays, but I schedule my priorities instead of vice versa. So maybe if you schedule your priorities today, going forward, we will see a better result. We'll see something different. And then it will be focused energy there. Successful agents say no to almost everything except their vital few functions. Do you know what your vital few functions are? I want you for the next week to identify what your vital few functions are. And James knows this, right? So I'm just going to tell you all what James already knows. These are the vital few functions that most agents, that most of us have. They're not going to change. The bad news is you're here with me today for me to tell you what you should be doing. And I don't like to tell people to should themselves, but it's stuff that you already know. These are your vital few functions. Pitching a listing or a buyer. So marketing consultations or buyer consultation. We know that, right? Yep, that's a vital function. Negotiating contracts. We know that. That's a vital function. Prospecting. That's a vital function. What if you said no to everything else this week, over the next 7 days? What if you said no to everything else except pitching listings or buyers, like doing the marketing consultation or buyer consultation, negotiated contracts, and prospecting? What if you did nothing but that? What if, hey, can you come over here and go? And now this is where I am talking in extremes. You can have a debate, I'll just ignore you, okay? That's love, right? So here's what I'm gonna think. I'm saying, what if instead of going to the home inspection, I know there's a level of service that's required and we want to be excellent in all that we do. What if instead of going to the home inspection, what if you prospected? What if you had maybe someone else go to the home inspection? I don't know, right? That's a business decision as an independent contractor you have to make, but we know things that we can never relegate or delegate to someone else. Prospecting, what if you prospected like you're supposed to? What if you said yes to prospecting? What if you scheduled your priority of prospecting maybe every day? Or, because we've heard the hour of power, we've heard the 2 hours of power, right? Whatever it is. What if we actually did what we know we're supposed to do? What if we spent time negotiating? What if we spent all of our time pitching listings or buyers, doing consultation? I'll add something in there for you all who are fun people. What if the time that you would usually spend on social media, what if you said no to social media, but you needed to still get your fix or your hit of dopamine and you wanted to be on social? What if you did Facebook Lives like we're doing right now, where you're doing a buyer seminar or a seller seminar? What if that was your social media time? What if you needed the engagement? So we can say no to stuff. We can say yes to our vital few functions, and we can do it in a way where you can still get your hit of adrenaline or dopamine. Here's a question that I'm going to ask you. What's the one thing that would have the greatest impact on your business today? What's that one thing? Is it that you need to get more skilled, that you need to know the contracts, that you need to have more appointments? Are you doing, remember, I just asked this morning, how many of you knew the one highest priority that you needed to do? How many of us had a priority that we needed to get done yesterday and didn't get it done? That's me. My question would be, or my challenge would be, what if for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, what if you got the one thing done that you know you needed to do for your business? What would your business look like in 3 days? What if you made the phone call that you needed to make that you've been avoiding? What if you sat down and did the note cards, or if you did the market update report today? What if you did that video that you've been putting off because your hair never looks right? What's the one thing that you could do today that would have the greatest impact on your productivity, on your bottom line? Do it today, right? No excuses. Eat the frog. That's what I would challenge you to do. And here's how we're going to do less and make more. We're going to focus on our dollar productive activities. What are your dollar productive activities? Do you know what your dollar productive activities are? Do you know? We just mentioned 3 of them, right? Is your marketing versus your prospecting, are they different? They can be. Do you know what your dollar productive activities are? A question I would ask you, do you know how much your hours are worth? Have you gone through and done the analysis? I know there's a lot of training. If you all go into your back office for London Foster, if you all look at the goal setting, if you go in and look at how to effectively use your time, your dollar per hour, do you all know what your dollar per hour rate is right now? If you don't know what your dollar per hour rate is, figure it out. And let's be honest, we're going to need to do this 2 times. 1, we need to know what we aspire for it to be, right? I believe that all of us in our profession, the minimum we should hope for, that we should aspire to, is nothing less than $150 per hour as an agent, right? There's just too, like Memo mentioned, there's just too many opportunities for us not to be thriving instead of merely surviving, all right? What is your aspirational goal of your dollar per hour? And then figure out what is your actual current dollar per hour. This is the hard stuff. It's not fun to see that your actual dollar per hour might be $9 an hour. I know it's not fun. This is something that Neal had to do. I had to look at myself in the mirror, and then I said, this is not going to cut it. So how do I do less and make more? I'm going to focus on prospecting, negotiating contracts, and pitching listings. And then my dollar per hour rate started going up. Then you get to start making the decisions. Well, do I want to work with this client or not? I don't have to. Do I want to take this seller or not? Do I want to go on this showing, or do I want to hire a showing assistant that's going to do it for me? Then we're in a position to make decisions. And that's what we want. Now, in order to do this, we have to build a no system. Now, so do you have a no system in place? Maybe you're the type of person who isn't comfortable saying no. Maybe no is like, you're like, right? You just say yes to everything, and people know that you say yes to everything. Maybe you're like Michael and no comes easily to you, right? So I'm the type where no comes easily to me, as you all can probably tell. But what if you built a no system? What is your no system? So my no system in my personal life is my wife. And so I just use my wife as my no system. And here's what the no system is. When you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. Okay. So we think, well, what are you saying yes to? I would rather ask, what are you saying no to? So for me, I love you all. I love London Foster agents, but I will never say yes to you and no to my wife, right? That's how important it is. I will not say yes to a task and no to my son's future. So I will have to come in and say, is my no system operating properly? So how that works is I come in, I have a no system. My wife will say, Someone will ask me a question, Neal, can you do this? A phrase, a terminology, a response that I want you all to get used to saying, to use in your business is, I don't think so, but if that changes, I'll let you know. That's how I lead with everything. Memo asked me, hey, are you available this time? I don't think so, but I'll let you know. Now he's getting the inside secrets. He knows why he gets that response from me, right? I don't think so. However, if that changes, I will let you know. What do? We say yes. And then what do we find ourselves doing? We're having to back out of it later. And so my part of my no system in person, my personal no system is, I don't think so. If that changes, I'll let you know. Or I don't think so. Let me check my calendar to confirm. That's not a hard way of saying no. Even the most Gentile of us can say that, right? Now, here's a way that you have a professional no system. I don't know if you have an assistant or not, but for me, I have numerous email addresses. One of my email addresses, and now I'm going to apologize to all of you in advance. There's a lot of you on here that I know, that I see, that we've done business together, or I've received an email from you. Maybe you sent an email to info@my-brokerage, right? And the response you got was that Neal is currently unavailable, or this will not fit into Neal's calendar. If that changes, we'll let you know. Well, it's not coming from an assistant. It's just coming from my other email account. So that is my no system. And then it just says the office of. So maybe Lee or Christy will have information coming in, and you just respond. Instead of saying no, you just respond from the other account that says, I don't believe it's possible. I'll check with Christy and I'll let you know, from the office of Christy Taylor. That's all it is, right? So that's one way that we can have a personal and professional no system. And here's what I'm going to encourage you all to do, or here's a question, another question. So you'll see that I'm asking a lot of questions to you all, because these are things that I want you to answer in your time outside of here, because it's going to force us to make those tough decisions, and we're going to make them ourselves. The question is, how do you double your income? As a realtor, as a London Foster agent, how do you double your income? It's not a trick question, but it is a trick question, because you are like, hey, I'm waiting for this answer. How do you double your income? My coach, my mentors, I'm fortunate enough to have some of the brightest people in the world working with me and telling me what to do. And I said, how do I double my income? The easy answer, the simple answer, but the most difficult thing to do is to double the amount of time you spend face-to-face with prospects, customers, and clients. Today, I want your focus to be, how do I double my time in front of the prospect? How do I double my time in front of the client or the customer? Now, that doesn't mean face-to-face, in person, maybe, but how do you set more appointments? How do you get in front of decision makers more? Because just based off of numbers, now you're going to say, Neal, that's a smart aleck answer. No, it's not. That's the truth. So if you want to double your income, double the amount of appointments that you have. Well, how can I do that? By focusing on our vital few functions: prospecting, negotiating, pitching listings and sellers. Now, there's going to be all this other stuff, these warning signs that are just for distractions. No, you want to double your income? Get leads from here. No, you want to double your income, you got to get the drone photography. You want to really double your income, then take this master class. I'm going to tell you, I'll just go back into the back office right here and then start saying, okay, I need to build a no system. I need to double my time in front of the client, the prospect, and the customer. If I do that, then I will double my income. And here's how we're going to do that. It's important. You all know that when I started, I was talking about the Navy and the military. I mentioned two groups of people. First, I mentioned those who actively serve, the veterans, the reservists. And then I mentioned the family members. And I do that intentionally because I want to live out what I'm going to tell you all right now. Don't give everything equal attention. Everything in your life does not deserve equal weight. Just because it's the loudest doesn't mean it deserves your attention. There is this idea, urgency versus important. There are some things that are urgent that are not important. There are some things in your business that are not urgent, but they're vitally important. Prospecting is not urgent, but it is important. It doesn't have to get done right now or the world's going to fall apart. But come Christmas time, we know how important it was. So urgency versus importance. So we don't want to give everything equal attention. There are some of your clients or customers. There are some leads that don't deserve necessarily the same amount of attention as others. The emails in your inbox do not deserve the same amount of attention as your prospecting block of time. Do you have a prospecting block of time? Do you have time in your calendar that says, hey, this is when I'm going to prospect. This is when I'm going to build my business. Now, are you staying true to your calendar? I'm going to make a statement, and it is controversial for me, but it might make some of you all feel uncomfortable. I am a slave to my calendar. If you want to know what I'm doing, where I'm going to be, look at my calendar. I share it with my team, and that's how I know what I'm supposed to do. That's what allows me to not work on Saturdays and Sundays, right? Because I get to have fun, because I busted my butt and I was a slave to the things that I needed to. And I said yes to the right things and no to others. So there's a 3D system, like D as in David. There's a 3D system I'm going to ask us to utilize. And then we're going to go into some of the end of the PowerPoint with some ideas that I want you to see. The 3D system: delete, delegate, and double down. So it could be 4 Ds, but the last D is a double D. You guys get it? Okay, we want to delete, delegate, and double down. What should you just delete from your calendar and from your life? Now, when I say what, it might be a who. Okay, now I'm not telling you to tell your significant other, Neal said, time for me to hit the delete button. I would never say that, okay? What do you need to delete? What are the things that you're doing that have no positive impact on your business? What are the things that you can remove that have no positive impact on your life? Delete them. Don't give them a second thought. That's number one. Delegate. What are the things that you are doing that someone else could either do better or less expensive than you're currently doing? That's why I want you to figure out what your dollar per hour currently is, what your aspirational goal for dollar per hour is. If your aspiration is to have, let's start $20 an hour, $50 an hour. Why are you the one? Now, I'm not in your pocketbook. I'm not in your account. I'm not telling you to go spend money. I'm just telling you to evaluate, are you doing a $2 to $3 an hour job by doing your social media posts? Now, I'm not talking about the organic ones. I'm talking about the other stuff. Are you the one that's going through and creating your marketing flyers, or could someone else do the same thing for $10 and then you land a listing or a buyer consultation? Just for us to think about. So we're going to delete, we're going to delegate, and then we're going to double down. The double down are those vital functions. The ones that, what if we doubled our time in front of the prospect, if we doubled our time prospecting, if we doubled the amount of time that we had to spend negotiating, right? Then that means, all right, we're doing the right thing. And we always want to reward and be focused on the activity, not on the outcome. And here's one that here's where I'm going to end with this, and then we're going to go into some actionable items that you all can do. We want to turn your wishes and dreams into rules, right? What wishes and dreams do you have, but you don't have any rules for them to come into fruition? So one of your wishes, and I'm just going to use this, might to be to get in better shape. Maybe your dream is to get into better shape health-wise, but you don't have any rules in place. And I just use that because most of us can identify. Maybe your wish and your dream is to sell X amount of production or a number of units, but you don't have a rule in place. And now what we're going to look at right now are some of those rules that are going to help us build out and so that we can actually turn our dreams and goals into accomplishments. Here is the first one. Here's the first one. We talk about delete, delegate, and double down. Now, these are going to be, we've heard of the 5 people that we're most associated with. So it's a 3 by 5. So this idea, and you'll have this in the PowerPoint slide. I'm also going to get some versions, some PDF versions of everything I'm about to show you. I'm going to get that over to Daniel and to Memo and Bobby, and they're going to have this so you can start doing this work yourselves, okay? So the 5 people you spend most time with professionally, personally, and socially. And so the LDE, limit, disassociate, and expand. Write down the 5 people that you currently spend the most time with professionally, personally, and socially. Now, in the personally part, I don't have to tell you all, we're not just going to put D down for disassociate. So are there people professionally that you need to limit your time with? Maybe this is the person that's telling you why the market is horrible, why you'll never be able to get that $1 million or high price client that you're working toward. Limit, disassociate with, or expand. And then I want you to come in and identify people that should be on your expansion list. Who are the people that you want to work with? Who are the people that you want to be like? Maybe there's an agent that you saw in this Zoom right now or on Facebook, and you're like, man, I want to talk to them more. I want to expand my relationship. Now, in the professionally expand part, I'm going to ask you to consider maybe part of your expand list would be out of area realtors. Maybe you could reach out and expand your list and your interaction with other London Foster agents. Maybe it could be agents outside of the brokerage who are in New York. Have we thought about that? Aha. What about Los Angeles? What about Phoenix, Arizona? And James knows this. So these places I'm telling you, you want to build relationships with agents in these areas. New York, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Chicago, Las Vegas. Okay. Get familiar, build relationships, expand your list to agents in New York, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Chicago, and Las Vegas. Don't ask why, just build relationships, and then you all can talk to James. He'll tell you why it's so important there. And then personally, socially, so we want to limit, disassociate, or expand our associations in different areas with different people. This is what I was talking about, those solicitations, the no system. You're going to get this in PDF version, so I just want you to see what it looks like. The loudest solicitations on your time, the most vital task, and then what do you need to start saying no to? This is going to be, so the loudest solicitation, and then the ones that you need to start saying no to are going to be important. The vital tasks, what are the vital tasks that you do? And the way you know is what moves the needle. When you do this, what moves the needle in your business? So what I found is that what I'm doing right now moves the needle. When I come in and when I share and when I impart and I help agents grow and brokerages grow, that moves the needle. That allows me to have the life that I want to have. What will I say no to? I don't watch TV. It's like, I don't watch TV. I'm uninformed. I don't know what's going on, but people tell me what I need to do or what's important to me. I'm very seldom ever on social media unless I'm on there to post and I'm off. I don't do many 5 or 6 minute coffee interactions where, hey, let's meet for a cup of coffee. Right now, I don't believe it will work. If that changes, I'll let you know. Now, I do go deep with a few individuals and I let them be my megaphone to the marketplace. So what are these items? And then as I say, how will you say no? How will you say no in person versus email? And who's going to say no for you in your professional life or personal life? And then tell them, hey, you have a new role. You have been promoted to the chief no officer, the CNO. Your job is to make sure that everything in my life, the answer is no. So I can reevaluate. And then what's important will get scheduled. And so the way I tell my wife and my son and a few of my agents is that if I say yes to them, I'm saying no to you. And believe it or not, people are very concerned with saying no to them. I'm going to ask you to become a quitter. There are some things that you need to quit, right? And so that's where the idea of commitment comes in. What are you committed to? Are you committed to a better, brighter future for yourself, for your family, for your colleagues, clients, or customers, or not? And then here is the idea that Peter Drucker shared. Maybe you've seen it or heard it. There is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. So many of us are really good at doing stuff that is not moving the needle. And so we want to focus on doing those vital few functions so that if we did those things that we know we are supposed to do, that our lives would be drastically better. And so that is vitally important. And then this is just one of those building your fortress of trust. Who's going to do it? Family, health, mentors. And so all of these you might have in some areas, you might have none. The one that I want to ask you right now, one, get your family team involved. Who's going to be your fortress of support? Then I'm going to urge you, who are your core clients? Who are the clients that all the time are just referring you more business? Who are the ones that are your cheerleaders that every time you post on social media, not only are they liking, they're sharing the content? Which one of your core clients or your friends are doing that for you? Right? And my idea, the definition of a friend that I heard, the best definition is a friend is someone that will mention your name in a room full of opportunities. So who's referring you the most? So maybe your core clients have become your friends because they mention your name in a room full of opportunities. And then don't forget that time is not money. Time is more valuable than money because you can get more money, but we cannot get more time. So I am going to open up right now. I know it is 11:33. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns that you all have for me? If you do, just go ahead and drop those in the chat. I just want to go through and do a quick reminder, a refresher for all of you really quickly. First thing, start saying no. Know how to say no. That could be you personally or professionally. Are you going to have someone else to do it? Do you have a script? We're all about scripts, right? Do you have a script? Do you know what you're going to say instead of saying yes, right? Don't let your mouth overload your back. Vitally important. Ask a few questions of yourself. Why am I here? Why am I doing this thing called real estate? Is it so that I can be a volunteer and not get paid for it? If so, I'm sure Memo and them have a lot of things they could have you all do, right, for free. Or are you in this to make money and be successful and productive? That's going to be the question. The heaviest question of the day that I want you to ask yourself. Maybe you can write this on your calendar. Whose life would be better if you did what you're supposed to do? If that answer is big enough, you'll get through, you'll figure out. Don't prioritize your schedule. Schedule your priorities. And how do you double your income? You double your income by doubling the time spent in front of clients, customers, and prospects. Now, here's where I want to just take a little freedom really quickly. And so I start all of my presentations and talks, classes the same way. I end every one of them the same way. And that is just by telling you all, I don't know what's going on in your life, but we all have stuff. We know that this past 18 to 19 months has been different. That's the word that we're going to use. And I just want to say, I don't know if you heard it this morning. Maybe someone came over from behind the camera and mouthed it to you. Maybe it's been years or decades since you've heard it. But I just want to tell you that I, Neal Oates Jr., love you. That I know that you're here for a purpose. And when I say here, I'm not talking about on this Zoom. I'm talking about here on this spinning orb that we call Earth. You have purpose. You have value. And so now it's our challenge. It is our opportunity to find out what that value is and to be the best that we can be with everything that we have. And here's the final ask that I'm going to ask of you all is, would you do me a favor and do yourself a favor? The people that you love in your life, would you tell them that you love them? I'm not saying that they don't know it. I'm just saying that maybe they need to hear. Maybe they need to be reminded. Because for us in here, often it's the people that's closest to us that see the worst in us. They see us when we leave work, when we leave the client, when we come home, and they get that frustration from us. Now, here's the ask in that. Tell the people that you love them today. And I'm not saying do the text with the 143. I'm asking you to say, hey, I love you. There's going to be a couple types of responses that you're going to get back. The first one is, what did you do? Right? If that's the response. Or are you sick? Don't do as some people have done. Never mind, I take my love back. I was just kidding. I don't love you. Don't do that. If that's their response, that just means that we have not done a good enough job communicating our love and appreciation. So we just want to take it. And if they say, are you okay? Yes, I am. I just want to say, I love you. I appreciate you. We want to make it a habit. We want to focus on that key priority, that vital function of letting them know how much we love them verbally. So the one day we don't say it, they say, hey, knucklehead, what's wrong with you? You didn't say you love me. You'd be like, maybe I was wrong all these years, right? Just kidding. But I want to just tell you all that it has been an absolute pleasure being here with you all. Hopefully, you weren't just motivated or inspired, that you took away some things that you could put into your business to make your business better. And then, as Memo mentioned, utilize the systems. Remember that discipline. Utilize the systems that they have. Go in. Don't get new information. Just go through, rinse and repeat. Be reminded there's a lot of stuff in there that maybe you've been with them for a while that you've never looked at. I'm going to challenge you. Go in. Start looking at some things. Say, hey, I didn't even know this existed. Reach out to the team. Ask them questions. They're here for you. They brought me in. They brought me in not for themselves. They brought me in so that you all can be better at the end of the day. And I just want to say thank you. If you all have any questions, if you all need to get in contact with me, you all can reach Memo, Bobby. You all can look me up online and the such. But I just want to say I love you all.
Before you sign off, Mr. Neal Oates, again, I don't get tired of telling you how wonderful you are. I thank you. It's just fun. It's just fun to have the perspective of somebody from the outside and someone with such a great positive attitude. I love the fact that you ended it with that exact point, because I preach that a lot. But yeah, absolutely. Our back office is for you. We go, we update it, we change it. Bobby has been working almost for 6 months now on an update that is coming by the end of the year of our back office. It's going to make it even better. But absolutely, if you check our back office under My Deals, under Deposit, there's a video. This video didn't just happen. This is a production with a professional photographer where Bobby sat down and they did several takes and they do 3 different angles so that it looks great and professional and branded and everything. And that video is there. It's 7 minutes of your time. It's 3 hours of Bobby's, where he sits there and explains to you how to make a deposit. So there is a lot of effort behind that. Take advantage of it. Oh, I don't have a deal right now. Doesn't matter. Watch every single link. Go down every page. Oh, I really don't need a postcard. Doesn't matter. Just look at one. Check out the way it's done. Learn so that when you do have the need, when you do have to make a deposit, when you do need an escrow letter, when you do have to make upload documents or whatever it is, you know it. You know it like the palm of your hand. Also under office manager, we have an enormous, it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. We have, I think it's almost 30 videos, and it's something like 12 hours worth of content on how to make a contract, how to do a contract to lease, how to do a lease. I don't care if you've been doing this for 30 years. This is not a competition. It's an opportunity where we gather together as a team, and we created this for you. And even if you're the most savvy realtor, you'll get something out of it. even if it's just to criticize the fact that my hair's too long, something you'll get out of it. And I'll tell you, because I get messages from people at 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, but I get messages from people that watch the video and they tell me, man, this is amazing. God, I wish I had thought of that. Oh, I never thought of that. You know, thank you. Thank you, Miss Mindy. Guys, take advantage of it. Like the other day, I was giving a 101 training, and, you know, and I said to the people there, I'm like, listen, I know everything I'm going to tell you. I know everything I'm presenting today. I know it like the palm of my hand. I've done 600 trainings. I'm here for you. If you find this uninteresting, let's move on to the next subject. And that's exactly the point. That back office is there for you and for you to take advantage of it. So I love that you ended it on that. I want to thank everybody who came in. I just love seeing everybody's face. I thank you for sharing your screens. I see Miss Yvonne. I see Manuel. I saw Anna at some point. I think I saw Lubena. I think I lost her, but I saw Lubena at some point. Lubena is one of our new agents that just joined our Lehigh office. Like I said, we're opening up this awesome office in Lehigh. It's a great opportunity. Lubena, did you leave? I guess Lubena dropped off. But we have, I don't know if Carmen, are you there? I don't know if Carmen was able to sign on. Carmen had a dentist appointment, so she wasn't able to sign on. But again, I just want to thank you, Neal. I want to thank everybody participating. Guys, I remind you really quick, this training is recorded. This training will be added probably within 2 days under londonfoster.net, education, productivity mastery. My mouth is too big. It'll be there. I thank you for taking advantage of that training and watching it later. Watch it 2 or 3 times. There's a lot of content in this training, Mr. Neal Oates. So I think it's almost like we need to watch this on a loop, like every morning, just to remind us to be our better selves and to stop, I think what I got out of it, Neal, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that I think we're our own worst enemy, and we sabotage and we're saboteurs of our own success and happiness. And every once in a while, you got to remind yourself, dude, I'm here for a reason. I'm here to make things happen. I'm here to be happy, and I just think it's a great way of reminding us, resetting us back into our head. I found a lot of things that I need to work on, and I'm pretty good at some things, but there's some things that I really need to pay some attention on.
So Memo, really quickly, I just want to remind everyone, and this is a reminder, I want you all to make the rest of your year better and easier, and Memo and Bobby and the team's lives easier. Don't forget, now this has nothing to do with productivity mastery, but this has everything to do with your business. Be aware of the contract changes that are coming in November. Make your life easier, make Memo's life easier. Take the contract classes, go in, and whether it's the association or don't be surprised.
We're giving one in 4 weeks, so absolutely.
Okay, so make sure you all sign up that you RSVP for the contract class. I am on the professional standards for a number of boards across the state, and I see a lot of mistakes that we make. A lot of it can be avoided if you go to the contracts training classes that's offered. Make sure you all register. If you want to know when it is, when you have it, I'm going to tell you about, reach out to Memo, right? Go and look at the education calendar, and then find out. It's going to be vitally important. You want to keep yourselves out of trouble. You want to keep your brokerage out of trouble. But then more so, we want to make sure that we are providing the quality of service for our clients and customers that's going to refer us over and over and over again, and knowing 1 or 2 little changes, knowing 1 or 2 things that are different. Because once you take the class, here's what, we talk about, make sure that we're doing dollar productive activities, and how do we stack our activities to leverage those. So once you take the training, once you take the class, you now have content and info to share to your sphere, to share on your social media. Hey, these contract changes are coming. Work with an agent, work with a professional who's already aware, who's gotten up to speed. So if you're looking to buy or sell, I know what's going to be happening. I know the changes, and what the changes are going to mean to you as a buyer or seller. Or share this content to someone that you know who is looking to buy or sell, or if you have any questions about the financing changes that are going to take place on the contract, I am a great resource. This is how we focus on doing less things. We don't do as much. We focus on doing the less things, but they're the vital few. So make sure that as soon as that information on the contracts class comes out, you all RSVP with Memo and the team for that, because that's going to be one of the things that's going to make a huge difference in all of our business. So thank you for letting me jump in.
Absolutely. No, and on that same point, it's the same idea of the back office. It's all about being prepared, guys. This isn't rocket science. We're not curing cancer. We're not, fixing the world. We're selling real estate. And that at the bottom line, you could be great at, people skills, and you can have great customer service, and you can, prepare and show up early. But the truth of the matter is that if you don't have the content, if you don't know how to get it, if you don't know how to follow up, if you don't know how to research, if you don't, it's all about knowing as much as we can know. Can we know everything? No, but knowing as much as we can know. So absolutely, Neal. And again, Neal, absolute love. You're a great guy, great presenter. I want to thank everybody for showing up. I want to thank Bobby for putting this together. Bobby is incredibly generous and kind, and he always says yes. I'll tell you guys, I always say this in the 101. One of the things I really liked about London Foster was Bobby. I'm a more negative and cynical person than he is. He's more positive and more coming from a place of yes. So I think he's balanced me out. But absolutely, Bobby was the one that said, hey, guy, Memo, let's get Neal here. We haven't had him in a while. He loves these trainings. He gets him super psyched. I want to thank him for his generosity and for always, coming from a place of yes when I come from a place of, I'm not really crazy about that idea. I want to thank Joe and Miss M for participating today. They are a great resource. Again, London Foster agents, go on londonfoster.net under vendors. Look them up, reach out to them, call them, make sure he's on your phone, make sure you're on his phone, make sure that he saves your number, so that when you do call him, he says, oh, it's Memo, let me get that call, or let me put this person on hold for a second and tell Memo I'm going to call him back. You want to build those relationships. Again, want to make sure everybody who's not a London Foster agent, visit www.londonfoster.com. Make sure you go through that page. There's a great FAQ. Sign up for the London Foster 101. It's an online training where we tell you everything, what we are, what we do, how we compensate, marketing education. We even show you how to request an escrow letter. For those of you, I don't know how many, let me just show off my new wallet. I got the new wallet that has the iPhone little thingamajig, and I love this because you press a button, it all pops out. But if you are a new agent, or if you are not a London Foster agent, yes, this is one of the things that we go over in the training. Every London Foster agent gets an escrow deposit card. What the hell is an escrow deposit card? It's an ATM card. It's basically an ATM card that goes directly into our escrow account. And why is that important? Well, because instead of having to pick up a check, drop off a check, wire a check, go inside the bank and deposit a check, you can grab a check, take a picture of it, go to the ATM, deposit it, get the receipt, take a picture of it, and within 15 minutes, you will have an escrow letter. If you don't see the value in that, then you haven't been doing real estate. If I come to Neal with an offer and I tell him, Neal, that client of mine, that guy I just met yesterday who's driving a leased Mercedes is a really nice guy. Please accept our offer. That's not the same as me telling him, you know what? Here's an escrow letter with $80,000. Now go negotiate with your seller. It changes the game, guys. So definitely take advantage of that. Thank you guys for all the beautiful comments. I love it. We appreciate it. We're very grateful. And I'm going to go ahead and thanking everybody on our team, Daniel, Sandra, Dina, Anna, Bobby, everyone that worked so hard to make this come together and make this productive. We had a really great, successful training today, and I want to thank everyone. I believe Bobby's on a call. I've been trying to text him, but I think he's on a call right now with an agent. So I just want to thank everybody, and I'll sign off, and I wish everyone the very best today. And again, Mr. Neal Oates, rocking it. Love the shirt.